The space battle raged on like countless others before it. Beams of energy cut across the void, and explosions bloomed silently against the backdrop of stars. The arachnid warship Vengeance rolled to avoid incoming fire from the Sci-Fi cruiser, Mindseeker. Both crews fought with the mechanical precision that came from centuries of war. "Another day, another battle," muttered Captain Kraz of the Vengeance. His 8 limbs worked in perfect harmony across the control panels. The captain's exoskeleton showed the scars of previous engagements, badges of honor in the endless conflict. Across the battlefield, aboard the Mindseeker, Commander Olos observed the arachnid maneuvers with cold calculation. The commander's tentacles rippled with frustration as the enemy ship evaded destruction once again. "They adapt quickly to our new targeting algorithms," Olos noted to his second-in-command. "Adjust formation and prepare for another pass." Neither side gained ground. Neither side expected to. The war between the arachnids and the Sci-Fi had lasted for over 300 years, claiming billions of lives across dozens of star systems. The original cause of the conflict had been lost to time, replaced by hatred that passed from generation to generation like a family heirloom. Far from this battlefield, in an unexplored sector of the Orion Arm, a small human vessel dropped out, of faster-than-light travel. The EDS Horizon, a scout ship from Earth, appeared in a flash of light. It was sleek and functional, bearing the blue and white emblem of the Earth Diplomatic Corps. Commander Eliza Carter sat in the captain's chair, her dark hair pulled back in a neat bun. She studied the readouts with careful attention. "Confirm our position, navigation," she ordered. Lieutenant Gary Wilson nodded as he checked his instruments. "We've arrived at the coordinates from the distress signal, Commander. We're in uncharted space, approximately 30 light-years beyond our previous exploration boundary." Carter stood up and walked to the main viewport. She was 42 years old, with 15 years of experience in space exploration. Earth had only achieved faster-than-light travel 20 years ago. In that time, humans had cautiously expanded their presence, careful to avoid drawing too much attention from older, more established galactic civilizations. "Any sign of the signal source?" Carter asked. "Nothing yet," replied Communications Officer Kate Rivera. She was young but skilled, with a natural talent for detecting patterns in space noise. "Wait, I'm picking up unusual energy readings. Multiple sources, spread across a wide area." Science Officer Ben Howard looked up from his station, his eyes wide with surprise. "Commander, you need to see this." Carter moved to his console and looked at the sensor display. What she saw made her breath catch in her throat. The space ahead was filled with debris, not natural asteroid fragments or space dust, but the unmistakable remains of artificial structures. Ships, hundreds, possibly thousands of destroyed vessels, stretching across an area larger than Earth's solar system. "My God," she whispered. The scope of destruction was beyond anything humans had ever witnessed or caused. "These aren't recent battles," Howard said. "Based on radiation decay, some of this debris has been here for decades, even centuries. But there are fresh signatures too. Whatever conflict caused this is still ongoing." Carter straightened her uniform and made a decision. "Take us in closer, but maintain alert status. Weapons on standby, shields at maximum." The Horizon moved carefully through the debris field. The crew worked in tense silence, documenting everything they saw. The technology visible in the fragments was far beyond Earth's current capabilities. Hull materials they couldn't identify. Engine components that defied known physics. "Commander," Rivera called out suddenly. "I'm receiving a transmission. It's not in any language in our database." "Run it through the translation matrix," Carter ordered. "Let's see if we can make sense of it." The ship's AI worked to decode the alien communication. After several minutes, broken phrases began to emerge from the speakers. "Request assistance, damaged systems, unknown vessel identify." Carter nodded to Rivera. "Open a channel." "This is Commander Eliza Carter of the Earth Diplomatic. Corpse Vessel Horizon. We received a distress signal from this sector. Do you require assistance?" There was a long pause before the reply came. "Earth Vessel, unknown designation. Approach coordinates for visual confirmation." Wilson looked at Carter with concern. "Could be a trap. Or a genuine cry for help," she replied. Proceed, but be ready to jump to FTL at my command. The Horizon changed course as directed. They soon came upon a massive ship, clearly damaged, but still operational. Its design was unlike anything they had seen before. Organic curves blended with crystalline, structures that seemed to pulse with inner light. Fascinating, Howard said. Biomechanical integration at a level we've only theorized about. The alien vessel was at least 5 times the size of the Horizon. Damage was visible across its hull, with sections open to space. Repair drones worked busily to seal breaches. They're hailing us again, Rivera said. Visual this time. On screen, Carter ordered. The main display flickered to life, revealing a being that caused several crew members to gasp. It appeared to be a creature with a bulbous head and multiple tentacles where a human would have a lower body. Its skin shifted colors as it moved, and what seemed to be 3 eyes blinked independently at the humans. The translation matrix processed its speech. You are not arachnid. You are not cephaly. What are you? Carter stepped forward. We are humans, from the planet Earth. We are explorers and diplomats. And you are? I am Captain Milov of the Cephaly Defense Force vessel Truthseeker. You have entered an active war zone, Earth vessel. A conflict that has continued for generations. Carter felt a chill run down her spine. We detected a distress signal. We came to help. The alien captain's skin darkened. The signal was automated from one of our fallen ships, but your arrival is unexpected. No new species has entered this sector in my lifetime. Perhaps we can assist with repairs or medical needs, Carter offered. Your offer is noted, but the alien paused as alerts sounded on their bridge. Arachnid vessels approaching. You must leave immediately. They show no mercy to any who encounter them. Carter turned to her crew. Yellow alert, but we're not running yet. She faced the screen again. Captain Milov, we would like to understand this conflict before we depart. There is no time for... The transmission cut off as the Cephaly ship was rocked by weapons fire. On the Horizon sensors, 3 new vessels appeared. They bore little resemblance to the Cephaly ship, instead featuring angular, segmented designs, reminiscent of Earth arachnids. Commander, Wilson said urgently, they're heading straight for us. Carter made a split-second decision that would change the course of human history. Open communications on all frequencies, and prepare our data package. As the arachnid ships approached, ready to destroy this unknown intruder, the small human vessel broadcast a simple message in all known communication formats. We are humans of Earth. We come in peace and offer neutral mediation. Attached was basic information about Earth's history, biology, and culture, including humanity's own long, painful experience with war. To everyone's surprise, the arachnid ships slowed their approach. Humanity had just stumbled onto the galactic stage. 6 weeks after the first contact, the Earthship EAS Pathfinder glided toward Nexus 7, a neutral space station positioned in the narrow strip of unclaimed territory between Arachnid and Cephaly space. The Pathfinder was larger than the Horizon, built for diplomatic missions with meeting spaces and comfortable quarters for foreign dignitaries. Captain Gregory Winters stood on the bridge, watching the massive station grow larger on the view screen. He was tall with broad shoulders and graying hair at his temples. 20 years in the Earth Diplomatic Corps had prepared him for many things, but not this. Quite a sight, said Dr. Samantha Ortiz as she joined him at the viewport. The xenobiologist had spent the journey studying everything they knew about the 2 alien species. Hard to believe they built this together and yet can't stop fighting. They built it out of necessity, not cooperation, said Colonel Alan Murphy, the mission's military strategist. He was a compact man with a serious face and calculating eyes. Both sides needed a place for prisoner exchanges and the rare ceasefire, negotiation. The station itself was a marvel of engineering, a central hub with 2 extending arms curved in opposite directions, one built in the angular, segmented style of arachnid architecture, the other featuring the flowing, organic design of Cephaly structures. We're being hailed, announced the communications officer. On screen, Winters ordered. A human face appeared, Commander Carter from the horizon. She had remained at Nexus 7 to prepare for this diplomatic mission. Captain Winters, welcome to Nexus 7. Both delegations have arrived and are waiting in separate conference rooms. They've agreed not to meet face-to-face initially. Understood, Commander. We'll dock in 15 minutes. After docking procedures were complete, Winters led his team through the station's central hub. The gravity was slightly stronger than Earth, standard, and the air carried unfamiliar scents. Look at the architecture, Ortiz whispered. The dividing line is so clear, you can literally see where one species' work ends and the other begins. They passed human security personnel from the horizon who had established a presence on the station. Carter met them at the entrance to the diplomatic wing. Captain, the situation remains tense. Neither side fully trusts our neutrality yet, but they're curious about us. That's a start. Winters nodded. Who are we meeting first? The HFY. They were the first contact, so protocol dictates they get the first formal meeting. The conference room was adapted for Sci-Fi comfort, warmer and more humid than humans preferred. Captain Malov from the Truth Seeker floated in what looked like a shallow pool in the center of the room. Two other Sci-Fi representatives hovered nearby. Captain Winters of Earth, Carter made the introduction. This is Captain Milov, Science Director Peloth, and War Historian Nevis. Winters stepped forward and made the formal greeting gesture. Carter had taught him, a slight bow with open palms facing forward. The gesture is appreciated, Malov's translator conveyed. Though unnecessary, we understand you have your own customs. Thank you for agreeing to this meeting, Winters said. We hope to understand your conflict better. Understand? War historian Nevis rippled her tentacles in what Carter had explained was the equivalent of bitter laughter. 300 years of war cannot be understood in a single meeting. We must start somewhere, Winters replied calmly. Over the next 2 hours, they listened as the Sci-Fi outlined their version of the conflict. They described arachnid atrocities, territorial disputes, and resources stolen. The Sci-Fi portrayed themselves as defenders against an aggressive enemy that understood only dominance. When the meeting concluded, Carter led them to the second conference room where the arachnid delegation waited. The temperature here was cooler and drier. High Commander Kriz of the arachnid fleet stood on multiple legs. His exoskeleton gleamed with metallic decorations signifying rank. Two other arachnids flanked him, their compound eyes reflecting the room's light in faceted patterns. So you are the humans, Kriz's mechanical translator clicked. Smaller than expected, Winters maintained his diplomatic composure. Size is not always the measure of capability, High Commander. This earned what seemed to be appreciation, a rapid clicking of mandibles. Direct speech, good. We have no patience for the flowery deceptions of the Sci-Fi. The arachnid version of the war painted the Sci-Fi as deceitful mind manipulators who couldn't be trusted. They spoke of Sci-Fi invasions of their colony worlds and attacks on civilian ships. After both meetings, Winters' team gathered in their temporary quarters on the human section of the station. They're both telling the truth as they see it, Ortiz said, reviewing her notes. But the facts don't match up. Murphy nodded. Classic case of a conflict that's gone on so long. The original causes don't matter anymore. They fight because fighting is all they know. The damage is beyond calculation, Winters said quietly. Look at these figures. Trillions in resources. Wasted, entire planets rendered uninhabitable, cultural heritage destroyed. Ortiz pulled up data on her tablet. There's something else. I've been analyzing their biology and social structures. Both species have actually evolved around the war. Their education, economies, even their family structures. Everything serves to maintain the conflict. What are you saying? Carter asked. I'm saying that peace might actually cause their civilizations to collapse. They don't know how to exist without this war anymore. Murphy studied the tactical reports. There's something else. Both sides use almost identical strategies. They've been fighting the same way for centuries with only minor technological improvements. Neither side is willing to risk a truly decisive strike, Winters realized. They're afraid of the consequences. Or they simply can't imagine a different approach, Murphy suggested. They're locked in patterns of thinking that have calcified over generations. Carter looked thoughtful. So what can we offer them? We're centuries behind their technology, but maybe centuries ahead in perspective, Winters replied. They've been so focused on each other that they've developed blind spots, massive ones. He walked to the viewport and looked out at the stars. We need to report everything to Earth. The full situation is more complex than we anticipated. Will we withdraw? Ortiz asked. Winters shook his head. No. But we need to be very careful about our next steps. We've stumbled into something bigger than we imagined, and how we respond could change the course of 3 civilizations. Theirs and ours. As the Pathfinder's crew prepared their reports, news of the strange new species spread through both the Arachnid and Cephali fleets. For the first time in centuries, warriors on both sides were distracted from their ancient hatred by a common question. What would these humans do next? Admiral Lauren Dawson stood at the head of the conference table in Earth Central Command. Large windows showed the blue curve of Earth and the orbital platforms that had become humanity's gateway to the stars. She was 52, with a stern face that had seen both peace and conflict during her long career. The table was filled with Earth's brightest minds, gathered to determine humanity's response to the interstellar war. Captain Winters and his team had returned with their reports, and now Earth faced a critical decision. Let's begin, Dawson said. Dr. Nelson, your analysis of their technology. Dr. Frank Nelson adjusted his glasses. He was the leading physicist at the Mars Research Institute, known for his work on quantum mechanics. Both species have remarkable technology, he explained. Their faster-than-light drives are twice as efficient as ours. Their weapons can destroy planets, but... He paused for effect. They have blind spots. Big ones. He displayed holographic models of both alien ships. They've been so focused on fighting each other that they've only developed technologies useful for their specific conflict. In some areas, humans are actually ahead. Such as, Dawson asked, quantum entanglement communication. We use it as standard, but they still rely on subspace transmissions that can be jammed or intercepted. And our AI integration is more advanced because we designed it for exploration rather than just warfare. Next to speak was Patricia Huang, the renowned game theorist. She had studied the conflict data for weeks. The war has reached what we call a stable equilibrium, she explained in simple terms. Neither side can win, but neither will accept losing. They've been locked in this pattern for so long they can't see alternatives. Huang displayed a series of mathematical models. I've run thousands of simulations. In every scenario where the war continues, it lasts at least another century with billions more deaths. The room fell silent as the implications sank in. Joseph Rivera, the veteran diplomat, spoke next. We should not intervene, he argued. We're newcomers in galactic politics. These species are far more advanced than us in many ways. Getting involved in their war could be disastrous for Earth. What exactly are you afraid of? Dawson asked. That we'll make enemies of both sides, that we'll be seen as a threat, that we'll become targets, Rivera replied. We should maintain diplomatic relations but keep our distance from their conflict. Captain Winters, who had observed quietly until now, leaned forward. With respect, sir, I disagree. After meeting both species, I believe they're trapped in patterns of thinking they can't break on their own. They don't need our technology or our firepower. They need our perspective. Dawson considered this. What are you suggesting? That we offer them a third option. Not victory for one side or the other, but something neither has considered. The debate continued late into the night. Scientists, military officers, and diplomats all presented their views. The stakes were enormous. If humans helped end the war, they could gain powerful allies and access to advanced technologies. If they failed, they might draw the attention of 2 dangerous enemies. As midnight approached, Dr. Nelson suddenly stood up. I have an idea, he said. Something completely different from what either species would expect. He described a technology Earth had developed but never weaponized. It was originally designed for deep space exploration, but with modifications, it could be adapted for this situation. Could it work? Dawson asked when he finished. In theory, yes, Nelson replied. We'd need to test it, but the principles are sound. Would it cause casualties? Winters asked. No. That's the beauty of it. It's entirely non-lethal. Dawson called for a vote. The decision wasn't unanimous, but a clear majority supported intervention. Earth would offer its help to end the war. Very well, the Admiral said. We have a plan. Now we need a team to execute it. 3 days later, a small group gathered at Ganymede Station, Jupiter's largest moon and Earth's frontier outpost. Commander Ryan Edwards reviewed personnel files in his office. At 45, Edwards had served in both exploration and security roles, making him ideal for this unusual mission. He looked up as his team entered. Weapons Specialist Linda Gomez, AI expert Dr. Peter Kim, and Tactical Officer Maria Vasquez. Welcome to Operation Peacemaker, Edwards said. You've all been briefed on the situation. Any questions before we begin? Just one, said Gomez. She was 38, with expertise in non-lethal defense systems. Are we really going to try ending a 300-year war with just one ship? That's the plan, Edwards confirmed. But it's not about the size of our force. It's about applying the right solution at the right moment. What exactly is our solution? Asked Vasquez. Edwards activated a holographic display showing a small device. This is a quantum entanglement disruptor. Dr. Nelson's team has modified our standard QE communicators into something new. Dr. Kim will explain the technical details. Kim stepped forward. He was the youngest team member at 32 but had revolutionized AI systems on Earth. The QED creates a field that temporarily disrupts all forms of electronic communication except those on its protected frequency, Kim explained. It doesn't damage equipment permanently. It just creates enough confusion to force a pause. How does that help end a war? Vasquez asked. Because we're not deploying just one, Edwards replied. We're deploying thousands, simultaneously across both fleets. For a brief window, no one will be able to fight. And during that window, Gomez asked, we deliver our message, one that both sides will have no choice but to hear. The next 2 weeks were filled with intense preparation. Engineers modified the Earth vessel EAS Peacemaker with special bays to carry thousands of tiny drones, each containing a QED. Kim worked day and night to integrate alien communication protocols with human quantum technology. Meanwhile, Ambassador Nicole Harris maintained diplomatic channels with both species. She didn't reveal the human plan, but kept both sides engaged and curious about Earth's intentions. The arachnids are getting suspicious, she reported during a secure call to Edwards. They've increased patrols near Nexus 7, and the Cephali ambassador keeps asking about our quantum technology. Can you keep them talking for another week? Edwards asked. I'll do my best, but they're becoming impatient. Both sides expect us to choose an ally. The concept of true neutrality is foreign to them. As the Peacemaker prepared for its mission, intelligence reported a massive buildup of both arachnid and Cephali forces near the Rigel sector. Both sides appeared to be preparing for what they believed would be a decisive battle. This could be perfect timing, Edwards told his team during their final briefing. If both fleets are gathered in one place, we can affect them all at once. Or, perfect timing for a disaster, Vasquez pointed out. If our plan fails, we'll be caught between 2 massive enemy fleets. Edwards nodded. True. But remember what Captain Winters said after meeting both species. Sometimes the greatest advantage isn't superior firepower or technology. It's a fresh perspective. The Peacemaker completed its preparations and set course for the Rigel sector. The small human vessel carried with it humanity's bold plan and the hopes for peace in a corner of the galaxy that had known only war for centuries. The EAS Peacemaker dropped out of faster-than-light travel at the edge of the Rigel sector. The small human vessel seemed insignificant against the backdrop of stars and distant planets. Commander Ryan Edwards ordered an immediate passive scan of the area. Full stealth mode, he instructed. No active sensors. We don't want to announce our arrival just yet. The bridge was quiet as the crew worked efficiently at their stations. They had trained for weeks for this mission, But the reality of their situation was sobering. They were about to insert themselves into the largest space battle any human had ever witnessed. "Sensor results coming in," reported Tactical Officer Maria Vasquez. Her dark eyes widened as the data appeared on her screen. "Commander, there are over 400 arachnid ships and nearly 300 Cephaly vessels gathering in this sector." Edwards moved to her station and looked at the display. The two fleets were positioning themselves on opposite sides of a mineral-rich star system. Both sides appeared to be preparing for a major engagement. "This is much larger than our intelligence suggested," Edwards said. "Both sides must have committed a significant portion of their military forces. Which means if our plan works, we could affect a massive percentage of their warships at once," noted Dr. Peter Kim from his station. Linda Gomez checked the status of the QED drones in their launch bays. "All units show green. We're ready to deploy on your order." Edwards nodded and opened a channel to the entire ship. "This is Commander Edwards. We've arrived at the target area and confirmed the presence of both fleets. We will proceed with Operation Peacemaker as planned. Each of you knows your role. What we do today could end centuries of destruction and save billions of lives. Stay focused." He turned to his bridge crew. "Begin approach. Keep us at the maximum effective range for the QED network." The Peacemaker moved silently toward the gathering fleets. Neither side had detected the human vessel yet, as all their attention was focused on each other. Edwards watched the tactical display as both alien fleets began to move into attack formations. "They're about to engage," Vasquez warned. "Estimated time to first weapons fire, 7 minutes." "We need to act now," Edwards decided. "Dr. Kim, begin the drone launch sequence." Kim's fingers flew across his console. "Launch sequence initiated, first wave of drones away." From the Peacemaker's specialized bays, hundreds of tiny drones no larger than a human hand shot into space. Each contained a miniaturized quantum entanglement disruptor and a small propulsion system. The drones spread out in a carefully programmed pattern, moving toward both fleets. "Second wave away," Kim reported. "Third wave launching now." "Status of alien fleets?" Edwards asked. "Still no indication they've detected us or the drones," Vasquez replied. "They're fully committed to their attack runs." On the view screen, the distance between the alien fleets narrowed. Massive arachnid battleships led the charge, their weapons powering up for devastating blows. The Cephaly countered with their sleeker, more agile vessels moving into flanking positions. "Final wave of drones away," Kim announced. "Total deployment complete. QED network forming now." "How long until they're in position?" Edwards asked. 3 minutes, Kim replied. "But the alien fleets will begin firing in less than 2, Edwards made a quick decision. "Gomez, activate the attention pulse." "Attention pulse? Sir, that will reveal our position," Gomez cautioned. "Exactly, we need to buy our drones just a little more time." Gomez nodded and pressed a series of commands into her console. The Peacemaker released a powerful burst of energy, harmless, but impossible to ignore on sensors. The reaction was immediate. Several ships from both fleets broke off their attack runs to investigate the unexpected signal. "It worked," Vasquez reported. "They're sending scout ships to check us out. Their main assault has slowed." "QED network at 60% formation," Kim added. "We need another 90 seconds. Edwards opened a communication channel. "This is Commander Ryan Edwards of the Earth vessel Peacemaker. We are here as neutral observers. We request that both Arachnid and Cephaly forces stand down." There was no response, but the approaching scout ships slowed their advance, clearly confused by the human presence. "Network at 80%, Kim reported. 60 seconds to full coverage." A message came through on the communication system. A harsh clicking sound translated into human language. "Human vessel, this is High Commander Vrax of the Arachnid Dominion. You have no authority here. Leave immediately or be destroyed." Before Edwards could respond, another message arrived. "Earthship, this is Supreme Leader Othos of the Cephaly Collective. This sector is a designated combat zone. Your presence is not welcome." Both fleets resuming attack positions, Vasquez warned. They're ignoring us now. QED network at 95%, Kim said. Almost there. Edwards watched as the massive alien fleets continued their approach toward each other. Centuries of hatred and war were culminating in this moment. Weapons powered up across hundreds of ships, each capable of destroying an entire human fleet. QED network at 100% coverage, Kim announced finally. Ready to activate on your command. Edwards took a deep breath. Begin the countdown. 10 seconds to activation. The bridge crew watched the timer count down. When it reached 0, Kim pressed the activation command. Nothing visible happened, but across space, thousands of tiny drones simultaneously activated their quantum entanglement disruptors. The effect was immediate and dramatic. It's working, Kim exclaimed, checking his readings. QED field established across both fleets. On the view screen, the alien vessels continued to move in their attack patterns, but something was wrong. No weapons fired. Ships began to drift off course. Some came to complete stops. Both fleets are experiencing full communications disruption, Vasquez reported. Their targeting systems, weapons controls, and communication networks are all failing simultaneously. Any damage to their life support or essential systems? Edwards asked. None, Kim confirmed. Just as designed. The QED only affects their ability to fight and communicate. Edwards nodded with satisfaction. Now for part 2. Open a channel to both fleet commanders on the QED protected frequency. Gomez worked at her station. Channel open, sir. We're the only ones who can communicate right now. Edwards stood straight and spoke clearly. This is Commander Ryan Edwards of Earth. Your fleets have been temporarily disabled by non-destructive means. No one has been harmed. We have demonstrated that we could have destroyed your ships if that had been our intention. He paused to let that sink in. We request that High Commander Vrax of the Arachnids and Supreme Leader Othos of the Cephali meet with us aboard the Peacemaker to discuss terms for ending this conflict. Your ships will remain disabled until this meeting occurs. The bridge crew held their breath, waiting for a response. Do you think they'll agree? Gomez asked quietly. Edwards watched the motionless alien fleets on the view screen. They don't have much choice. For the first time in 300 years, someone else has control of the battlefield. Minutes passed in tense silence. Then finally 2 messages arrived almost simultaneously. We will meet, came the translated voice of the Arachnid commander. We accept your terms, added the Cephali leader. Edwards exchanged looks with his crew, expressions of disbelief mixed with hope. The first step of their impossible plan had actually worked. Prepare the conference room, Edwards ordered, and maintain the QED network at full strength. This is just the beginning. The conference room aboard the EAS Peacemaker had been quickly modified to accommodate both alien species. One side featured the cooler, drier conditions preferred by arachnids, while the other maintained the warm humidity that Cephali found comfortable. A neutral zone in the center held a simple table with chairs for the human delegation. Commander Ryan Edwards adjusted his formal uniform and glanced at his team. They all understood the historic significance of this moment. No one had brought these 2 warring species to the same table in over a century. They're arriving, Tactical Officer Maria Vasquez reported from her station. 2 small transport vessels approached the Peacemaker, one from each alien fleet. The QED network remained active, keeping the hundreds of warships paralyzed in space, while allowing these diplomatic shuttles to pass through. Remember, Edwards told his team, we're not here to judge who's right or wrong in their conflict. We're here to show them an alternative. The door opened, and High Commander Vrax of the Arachnid Dominion entered. He was larger than the arachnids they had seen before, with an exoskeleton marked by the scars of many battles. His 8 limbs moved in precise, controlled motions as he assessed the room with compound eyes. From the opposite door came Supreme Leader Othos of the Cephali Collective. The leader's skin shifted through patterns of blue and green as multiple tentacles propelled him forward. 3 eyes blinked independently, taking in every detail of the human vessel. Neither alien acknowledged the other's presence. Welcome aboard, the Peacemaker, Edwards said formally. I am Commander Ryan Edwards of Earth, These are my officers, Linda Gomez, Dr. Peter Kim, and Maria Vasquez. Both alien leaders remained silent, clearly waiting for the other to speak first. The tension in the room was palpable. Edwards continued calmly. We understand the situation is unusual. We appreciate your willingness to meet. Willingness? Vrax's translator clicked. You disabled our fleets and gave us no choice. Yet you didn't destroy us, Othos observed, tentacles rippling. Your technology is unexpected. That's why we're here, Edwards said, to offer something unexpected, something neither of your civilizations has considered. He nodded to Dr. Kim, who activated a holographic display in the center of the table. It showed the current positions of all ships in the sector, hundreds of vessels frozen in the midst of their attack runs. For 300 years your peoples have fought each other, Edwards said. Billions have died. Planets have been destroyed. Resources that could have improved the lives of both your species have been wasted on weapons. The arachnids started this war, Othos stated flatly. They invaded our colony worlds. The Cephali attacked our trade routes first, Vrax countered immediately. They used their mind control abilities on our civilians. Edwards raised a hand. We haven't brought you here to debate history. We've brought you here to consider the future. Kim changed the holographic display to show projections of the conflict continuing for another century. More devastation, more death, more waste. Our analysis shows that neither side can achieve victory, Edwards continued. You're too evenly matched. This war could continue for another 300 years with the same result, a stalemate that bleeds both your civilizations dry. Both alien leaders watched the projections in silence. We humans are newcomers to interstellar travel, Edwards said. Our technology is less advanced than yours in many ways, but we have one advantage: perspective. We're not trapped in the patterns of thinking that have defined your conflict. What are you proposing? Vrax asked. A different path forward, not victory for either side, but a new way of coexistence. Gomez activated another part of the display, showing the quantum entanglement disruptors that had disabled their fleets. We've demonstrated that warfare as you know it can be rendered obsolete, Edwards explained. The same technology that disabled your weapons could be used to create a buffer zone between your territories, a zone where aggression is simply not possible. You would enforce peace upon us? Othos asked, his skin darkening with emotion. No, Edwards replied. We're offering tools for you to enforce peace upon yourselves. The QED technology can be adapted to create a detection network that would alert both sides to any military incursion. Dr. Kim added, we could help establish joint monitoring stations. Neither side could launch a surprise attack. It would create a foundation for trust to develop. Both alien leaders were silent considering this proposal. Why would you help us? Vrax finally asked. What does Earth gain? Peace and stability in this sector of space, Edwards answered honestly. Safe trade, routes, the chance to learn from both your civilizations, and, most importantly, an end to the senseless destruction. It would not be easy, Othos said slowly. 300 years of hatred cannot be erased with one meeting. We don't expect it to be easy, Edwards agreed. But it is possible. And it begins with a choice right here, right now. He stood and looked at both alien leaders directly. We could keep your fleets disabled indefinitely. We could even destroy them if we wished. But that's not our goal. Our goal is to show you that there is another way. Edwards pressed a button on the table. Throughout the sector, the QED network began powering down. Slowly, control returned to the alien vessels. I've just restored power to your fleets, Edwards informed them. You're free to resume your battle if you choose. Or you can return to your ships and tell your people that today, something changed. The alien leaders looked at each other directly. For the first time, centuries of conflict hung between them like an invisible wall. The choice is yours, Edwards said quietly. War or peace. Minutes passed in tense silence. Finally, Vrax spoke. The Arachnid Dominion will consider your proposal. We will withdraw our forces from this engagement while discussions continue. Othos's skin shifted to a calm blue. The Cephaly Collective will do the same. This perspective you offer deserves careful consideration. Edwards felt a wave of relief wash over him, though he maintained his professional composure. Earth thanks you both for your wisdom. We stand ready to assist in any way we can as you begin this new path. The meeting concluded with tentative arrangements for future discussions. As the alien leaders departed for their shuttles, Gomez turned to Edwards. Did we just end a 300-year war in one day? She asked in disbelief. Not ended, Edwards corrected her, but perhaps we've started the end. That's significant enough. From the bridge, they watched as the alien leaders returned to their respective flagships. Slowly, the massive fleets began to withdraw from their attack positions, pulling back to opposite sides of the sector. Send a message to Earth, Edwards instructed Vasquez. Tell Admiral Dawson, Phase 1 complete. Both sides have agreed to preliminary peace talks. As the peacemaker prepared to return home, Edwards watched the alien fleets departing on separate courses. For the first time in 3 centuries, they weren't firing at each other. One strike, Kim said quietly, echoing the words that had become their mission statement. Just like we planned, Edwards nodded. Humans have a saying, sometimes the simplest solution is the hardest to see, especially when you've been looking at the problem the same way for too long. The stars streaked past as the peacemaker jumped to faster-than-light speed, leaving behind a corner of the galaxy where change had finally come. The war that had dragged on for centuries hadn't ended with a decisive victory or a crushing defeat, but with something much rarer and more valuable, the beginning of understanding.